Today we'll be looking at number operations part 3, which is multiplication. If you still haven't checked out my last video, we covered on subtraction, how to do subtraction from easy strategies to hard strategies. So if you haven't checked that out, please click the link here or just click the link in the description, and let's get right into the video. So what is multiplication? Multiplication is basically repeated addition or adding the same number over and over. So the sign representing multiplication is something like an X. So how is this multiplication done? So 5 times 4, that's how the multiplication symbol is pronounced, can also be represented as 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. You can see that there's 4 5s. That's where the 5 times 4 means. That basically says you need to add the number 5 4 times. And this gives us 20. So this is how you basically do multiplication. But when you get to bigger numbers, this adding method is not really the easiest way to do multiplication. So stacked multiplication. This is the most efficient strategy to do multiplication. So let's explore it. So first thing, just like addition, you have to stack the numbers. You can stack it any way you want, but I always recommend the bigger number on top and the smaller number on bottom. This is completely my choice, and it really doesn't matter when you're multiplying. It just makes it easier for me. Okay, now the next step is we need to multiply each digit of the top number individually by each digit in the bottom number. So what that is basically you need to take one digit from the bottom, which is always the ones digit in the bottom, which right now is the 3. And then you need to multiply it by the ones digit in the top. Always ones and ones first. So the ones digit here and the ones digit on top is a 3 times 3. If you know the multiplication tables, it is 9. And what you have to do right now is you need to multiply this 3 to the tens digit in the next column. So it would look something like this. 3 times 1 gives us a 3. So this is how you do stacked multiplication. We'll look at more examples down the road, but this is basically how you do it. So the answer that you get under is called the product. Product is the answer you get after multiplying two numbers. So the answer here is 39. Stacked multiplication, but with 2-digit times 2-digit numbers. So first step before doing multiplication is to stack the numbers. Whichever way you want, you get the same answer. The first step is to go to the ones digit in the bottom section and multiply it by the ones digit in the top section, which looks like this. So 3 times 3 gives us 9. After writing it under the ones section, we go to the ones digit times the tens digit in the top section, which is like a diagonal going to the 1. 3 times 1 gives us 3. So far, it's going normally. Now we need to erase all the lines, imaginary lines, and then this next step is by far the most important step, because if you miss it, your answer might be wrong and you can really mess this up. So this step is to add a 0 or a symbol under the ones column to say that that spot has no value. Okay, after we have done that, the next step is to multiply the tens digit in the bottom row and the ones digit in the top row. The 2 times 3, this is a 6. Next, you do the tens digit in the bottom and the tens digit in the top, which gives us a 2. Now we need to erase all the lines. The next step is to add the two products we got. So after we add them, the answer you get is the product. In this case, it's 299. If you're confused on how to add, please check out our video on addition. I'll leave a pop-up card right now on the top right corner. If you're still confused on this, we'll look at another example. So stacked multiplication, but with 2-digit by 2-digit numbers. We just covered this. This is just a recap for people who didn't understand it, and another example for further explanation. If you're comfortable with this topic, you can skip to the next part, which is about multiplicational carryovers. So let's do 2-digit multiplication again for more clearance. So first step is to take the ones digit in the bottom and multiply it by the ones digit in the top. This gives us a 4, and then we need to do the same thing, but we just the ones digit on the top to the tens digit on the top. So 2 times 3 gives us 6. Now I like to draw these arrows because at beginning stages it really lessens the confusions. So after you do this, you can erase the imaginary arrows, and the next step is the most important step. It's to add a 0 under the ones column before you do anything. It is to signify that that spot has 0 value. Next, when you're doing addition, it's really easy when you put a 0 there. And if you put a different number there, you could get a really different answer. And it would not be the correct one. So next step, we need to tens digit in the bottom section and multiply it by the ones digit in the top section, which is like a little diagonal going. So 1 times 2 gives us 2. We do the same thing to the tens digit on top, which is 1 times 3, which gives us 3. And the next step, as you may know, is to add the two numbers. Well, if you add them, you get a product of 384. I hope this really helped you do 2-digit by 2-digit multiplication. Next, we have 2 times 2-digit, but with the multiplication of carryovers. Stacked multiplication, but with multiplication of carryovers. Just like addition, multiplication also has carryovers, and it's really similar to addition. So let's get on with it. So first step, just like normal multiplication, you take the ones digit in the bottom and multiply it by the ones digit on top. Well, 3 times 4 gives us 12. But we only have one spot in the ones place, but there's 2 digits. What do? Just like addition, you create an additional top spot on top of this next column to the left, and you bring the tens column over there and the ones column over here under the ones digits. Now we carry on with the normal addition, but when you're multiplying with the next digit, so let's multiply by the tens digit. 3 times 3, which gives us 9. Well, what do you do with the carryover? You add the carryover. So 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1, it's 10. You write the 10 down, and you have to erase the carryovers, because when you're doing it for the next digit, you might get confused. So next step is to add a 0 under the ones column, and then we need to go to the tens digits. So the tens digit, we have a 2. So 2 times 4 is an 8, and 2 times 3 is a 6. Now we all know that the next step is to add the two numbers. And adding them gives us 782, which is the product of this. Luckily, we didn't run into any more carryovers when we were dealing with the second number. This is how you basically do multiplication of carryovers. It's really simple. So 3-digit multiplication. Well, this may seem really confusing, but it's very simple. So just like normal multiplication, let's multiply the ones digit by the top number. Like this. You do it individually, and the answer you get is 864. Now next, you need to do the same thing you did to the ones column to the tens column in the bottom number, just like normal multiplication. So when we go to multiply this, you need to calculate how much zeros you need to add. So the number of zeros you need to add depends on how many digits are before that multiplying number. So for example, here you're multiplying the 1 times the 432. And you can see there's 1 digit before the 1, which is a 2. So since there's 1 digit before the 1, before you multiply, you need to add a 0. Next, you need to multiply the hundredths column, which has the 2, times the top number. Now, just like that, we need to calculate how much zeros we need. You need to calculate this before you do every column. So since there's 2 digits before the 2 here, you need to add 2 zeros, and then you need to do normal multiplication. And you get a number which is 864 and 2 zeros at the end. Because, like I mentioned before, there's 2 digits before that. Now the next step we all know is to add them, and you get a product of 91,584. This is how you do 3-digit multiplication, or any multiplication in fact. It's the same way. You do multiplication the same way. The only thing that changes is the amount of zeros you add. Just like any video, we'll end this with a bunch of facts and something to remember while doing multiplication. So first fact that we'll be looking at today is the product of any number multiplied by 0 is 0. So basically what that says is any number times 0 is 0. So 5 times 0 is 0. Or a matter of fact, any big number like this times 0 is 0. Next fact is product of any number multiplied by 1 is equal to the number itself. So 5 times 1 is 5. So any big number times 1 is that same number. So multiplication also has a distributive property, which gets a little advanced, but still 2 times, in brackets 2 plus 4, is the same as 4 plus 8. Just like addition, multiplication has commutative and associative properties. So what this is 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2, which gives the same answer of 6. And it also has associative property, which is 2 times 3 in brackets times 4 is the same as 3 times 4 in brackets times 2 is equal to 24. The product never changed, even though the order changes. Thank you for watching the video today. This is multiplication. The next video would be about division, continuing the series number operations. Looking forward for you to seeing on that. Have a great day and see you in the next video.